Hi, my name is Carrie, and this is my case study. So, what we already know quite a lot about the school itself. It has an urban setting with affluent families, it has a great reputation, an established principal. He has been there for 9 years and has gotten recognition from the state. He and the school both are respected within the community, and the teachers are handpicked by him. The students are also very tech savvy and have the latest and greatest. About Miss Tate, she is a first year teacher with postgraduate level education. She is serious in her classroom and has rigorous curriculum expectations and does not implement suggestions given to her by her principal. The incident itself appears to be anonymous. There is an email and there is a slanderous website. It does say who wants Miss Tate to disappear. It appeared to scare Mrs. Tate tremendously, and she does inform the principal immediately. And she pretty much from the get go accuses William Hall for the threat. What do we need to know? What are the policies already established by the district office for the district for something like this? Has something similar like this happened before to her or to anybody else? And how did they handle that? Have there been any issues between a student and a parent and Mrs. Tate recently? Has the principal documented the complaints regarding Miss Tate? And what professional development has Miss Tate been given as a first year teacher? Was Miss Tate given a mentor? Has Miss Tate been observed by Dr. Smith and others multiple times to be given advice and support within her classroom? The problem is that it's kind of twofold. Miss Tate has been threatened, and the threat appears to come from a student, and law enforcement is not involved yet and should be. The other problem is that Ms. Tate hasn't heeded to helpful suggestions, and the parents and students are upset about the workload that seems to be a little too rigorous and a little too serious in the classroom. Plan of action first, investigate, obviously, contact the SRO, allow the SRO to determine how the investigation occurs and who to investigate. And the SRO should be in contact with the school IT department. Secondly, the district office needs to be informed. Um, Obviously, contact the superintendent, inform the IT department so they know how to work with the SRO, and document everything and gather any previous documentation that is pertinent to this scenario. And lastly, support Miss Tate. Allow Miss Tate some time out of the classroom, but then also give her the opportunity to observe great teachers and get creative with schedules. Somehow get somebody extra in the classroom for a while, a mentor or administrator or a instructional coach who can help guide her on some very specific real things that she can do pretty immediately when she gets back into the classroom. And these are some ways that to resolve the problem is kind of twofold too, since we've got the threat and then Miss Tate. So the threat, the law enforcement obviously needs to be able to handle that and be allowed to handle that as they see fit. This might involve questioning students and investigating through the IT department. It could lead to expulsion depending on the school policy, criminal charges, or the student being sent to an alternative school. Miss Tate, she needs to have a strong mentor in place and be given appropriate time to meet with the mentor during school hours. Um, She needs to be given future suggestions in writing with goals so she can show growth, and she needs to be observed. She needs to make reflections on her teaching, and she needs to plan and maybe be given a guideline of a better plan that includes some activities and things to make her class a little less structure, like a little less serious, I guess. And then the PD experiences for new teachers, she needs to be given that opportunity. My reflection, thinking, I wondered when I first read, did she truly fear for her safety or was she being dramatic? It sounded a little overblown, but I guess it could have been taken as a threat on her life. Um, what's her course load and how much time does she get to plan? Why hadn't she tried to implement the suggestions she's been given from the principal? And that kind of goes with the course load. If she is a first year, she might be overwhelmed. She might not be able to handle all the different content, and she just can't figure out how to implement what it is they're saying. I really don't know, but I wondered all of that while I read this. I felt frustrated and annoyed that she hadn't taken the advice and made the changes. I was disappointed and angry in the law that law enforcement wasn't immediately notified because she's trusting the principal, and the principal needs to do what's in the best interest for her and the students, not necessarily what looks good for the school. And then I was nervous for Miss Tate's safety in the classroom and didn't really expect to see her in the classroom the next day, at least until real threat was um, shown not to be imminent on her life or anything like that. Valuing the feelings of the parents who have made complaints, really taking into account what they've said and listening to them, and making sure that Miss Tate also values those feelings as well, and takes time to listen and works on making changes. And then the prestige of the school, really trying to protect it as much as possible. And that includes helping Miss Tate become a better teacher. And then the rights and safety of the students and Miss Tate, just making sure that everybody stays safe and that everybody is treated respectfully during the investigation. And still unresolved, obviously, who did it, and then repair the relationship between Miss Tate and her classroom. Obviously, there's a breakdown somewhere. If other people, not just that one person who created the page, is adding to this, and then to help Miss Tate grow as a teacher. Um, Examples of how the education leader at the building level applied knowledge that promoted the success of every student by acting with integrity, by listening to Ms. Tate's concerns and acting on them to maintain her safety, following policies and contacting the SRO, and just helping and being supportive in the investigation. How did we do this with fairness? By not immediately interrogating William Hall, by following district discipline policies and the use of internet policy, and limited classroom disruption by not calling out a ton of kids or making a big scene in the classroom about anything. And then, how did you act in an ethical manner? By only involving those who need to know, by not being a gossip about it, and then not accusing William Hall and slandering his name, and by keeping the students' needs in mind. Thank you so much.